Samantha Norris stood at the entrance of Westfield High School, her new backpack slung over one shoulder. The building looked like any other American high school. Red brick, wide steps, teenagers rushing in all directions. Sam took a deep breath. After 5 years on the Mars colony, Earth schools felt strange. "Just blend in," she whispered to herself, remembering her grandfather's words. "No showing off, no fighting, no hints about what you can do." At 16, Sam was tall and athletic, with short brown hair that framed her face. Nothing about her appearance suggested she was anything special. That was exactly how she wanted it. Her famous grandfather had taught her to be invisible until it was time not to be. Sam checked her schedule and headed to her first class. The morning passed quietly enough. A few students nodded hello, but most ignored the new girl. She answered questions when teachers called on her, but volunteered nothing. By lunchtime, Sam had successfully avoided making any waves. The cafeteria buzzed with conversation as Sam carried her tray toward an empty table in the corner. She sat down and opened her bottle of water. Before she could take a bite of her sandwich, a shadow fell across her table. "You're in my seat." Sam looked up to see a tall boy with blonde hair glaring down at her. Two other boys stood behind him, snickering. The cafeteria grew quieter as nearby students turned to watch. "I don't see your name on it," Sam said mildly, taking a bite of her sandwich. The boy's face reddened. "I'm Greg Patterson. This is my table. Everyone knows that." Sam glanced around at the nearly empty table. "There are plenty of seats. Why don't you sit across from me?" The two boys behind Greg exchanged looks. One of them, a freckled redhead, leaned forward. "Hey, Greg, maybe we should just sit somewhere else today." "Shut up, Peter," Greg snapped. He turned back to Sam. "New girl doesn't know how things work. Here, I sit where I want when I want." Sam sighed and put down her sandwich. She had promised her grandfather to keep a low profile, but she also wasn't going to be pushed around. "Look, I'm just trying to eat lunch. There's room for everyone." Greg slammed his hand on the table, making Sam's water bottle topple over. Water spilled across the table and dripped onto Sam's jeans. The cafeteria went silent. "When I tell you to move," Greg said, leaning down until his face was inches from Sam's, "you move." Sam stood up slowly. She was almost as tall as Greg. "No," she said quietly. For a moment, Greg seemed surprised by her refusal. Then his eyes narrowed. "Do you know who my father is?" "Howard Patterson. He owns half this town." "Never heard of him," Sam replied honestly. Several students gasped. The other boy behind Greg, who wore a baseball cap, whistled softly. "Dude, she really must be new." "I'm Liam," the boy in the cap said to Sam. "You might want to just find another table." Sam looked at Liam, then back at Greg. "I was here first," she said firmly. "I'm not looking for trouble, but I'm not moving." Greg's face twisted with anger. He grabbed Sam's tray and shoved it off the table. Her food scattered across. The floor moved now. Sam remained standing, her expression calm. "No." What happened next shocked everyone in the cafeteria. Greg shoved Sam hard in the shoulder. When she didn't budge, his anger exploded. Before his friends could stop him, he swung his open hand and slapped Sam across the face. The sound echoed through the silent cafeteria. Sam's head turned slightly from the impact. A small trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth where her lip had split against her teeth. Peter grabbed Greg's arm. "What are you doing? You can't hit a girl." Greg shook him off, seemingly surprised by his own actions but unwilling to back down now. "She asked for it," he said loudly, looking around at the stunned faces watching them. Sam slowly reached up and wiped the blood from her lip with her thumb. She looked at the red smear for a moment, then at Greg. A small smile appeared on her face. That smile made Greg step back involuntarily. There was something in her eyes, something cold and calculating that hadn't been there before. Sam picked up her water bottle, put it in her backpack, and stepped away from the table. "You can have the seat," she said quietly. Without another word, she walked out of the cafeteria, her back straight, her steps unhurried. As the doors swung shut behind her, the cafeteria erupted with whispers. Did you see her face? She didn't even cry. Greg's finally gone too far. Who is she anyway? Greg laughed loudly, trying to cover his unease. Looks like new girl learned her lesson. He dropped into the seat Sam had vacated and motioned for Peter and Liam to join him. Peter sat down reluctantly. That wasn't cool, man. Your dad's gonna freak if you get suspended again. She's nobody, Greg said, though he kept glancing at the cafeteria doors. Besides, she didn't even go to the principal, probably too embarrassed. Outside in the hallway, Sam stood at her locker, her fingers lightly touching her swollen lip. In 5 years on Mars, training with the toughest colonists and security personnel, she had learned to take much harder hits without flinching. The slap itself was nothing, but the boy's arrogance reminded her of the bullies her grandfather had told her about from his own childhood, before he became famous, before the secret military program changed him, before the aliens came. Sam pulled out her phone and hesitated over the contact labeled Grandpa. He had warned her that coming back to Earth would be challenging. The social politics of American high schools were more complex than the straightforward society of the Mars colony. Her finger hovered over the call button, then moved away. No, she wouldn't call him over something so small. She had promised to handle her own problems, unless it was a real emergency. Sam put her phone away and headed to her next class. She would give Greg Patterson a chance to realize his mistake and apologize. Everyone deserved one chance to make things right. But as she walked down the hallway, students staring at her bruised face, Sam couldn't help but smile again. If Greg didn't apologize, he would soon learn why the Norris name was known and feared across 2 planets, and it had nothing to do with old action movies. Sam went through the rest of her school day quietly. She noticed the stares and whispers following her in the hallways. The bruise on her face had darkened, making it impossible to hide. When the final bell rang, Sam was the first one out of the classroom. She was halfway to the bus stop when someone called her name. Sam turned to see a girl with curly black hair running toward her. "Hey, wait up!" the girl called, catching up to Sam. "I'm Olivia Miller. We have history class, together." Sam nodded, remembering the friendly girl who sat 2 rows over. "Hi." Olivia looked at Sam's face with concern. "Everyone's talking about what happened in the cafeteria. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Sam said. She started walking again, and Olivia fell into step beside her. "You should report Greg," Olivia said. "He's always been a jerk, but he's never hit anyone before, at least not at school." Sam shrugged. "Not worth the trouble." Olivia studied her curiously. "You're different, aren't you? Most people would be crying or plotting revenge or something." "I've dealt with worse," Sam said simply. They walked in silence for a moment before Olivia spoke again. "Your last name is Norris, right? Like Chuck Norris?" Sam nearly missed a step. She glanced sharply at Olivia. "What makes you ask that?" Olivia grinned. "Just curious. There are some crazy internet forums talking about the Norris family. Some people say they were involved in the first contact with aliens." Sam's face remained neutral. "You shouldn't believe everything you read online." "I know it sounds crazy," Olivia continued enthusiastically, "but there are these stories about the Arcturus coalition ships appearing in 2035, and how Earth sent this special negotiator who impressed them with some kind of combat demonstration." Sam remained silent, but her pace quickened slightly. "Anyway," Olivia said, "the guy on the forum said the negotiator was Chuck Norris and that he had been part of some secret military program years earlier. And that's why all those jokes about him being superhuman started way back in the early 2000s. People somehow knew." They reached the bus stop, and Sam turned to face Olivia. "That's just conspiracy talk." Olivia looked disappointed. "Yeah, probably. But it would be cool if it were true, right? Having aliens real and everything. I mean, the government denies there was any contact, but they would, wouldn't they?" "They would," Sam agreed carefully. "Listen, Olivia, it was nice talking to you, but I need to get home." "Where do you live?" Olivia asked. "Maybe we're neighbors." Sam hesitated. "Forest Ridge, The new apartments. That's near me, Olivia said happily. Look, my mom can give us a ride. She picks me up over by the gym parking lot. Sam considered the offer. She wasn't supposed to make friends too quickly, but she liked Olivia's straightforward manner. Sure, that would be nice. As they walked toward the gym, Olivia continued, chatting about school and teachers. Sam listened, grateful that the conversation had moved away from her family. Meanwhile, across town, Greg Patterson sat in the back of his father's luxury car, scowling at his phone. A message had appeared on his screen from an unknown number. You've made a terrible mistake. Apologize while you still can. Stupid prank, Greg muttered, deleting the message. But as he put his phone away, it buzzed again. Same message, different unknown number. Problem? His driver asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. No, Greg snapped. Just drive. When they arrived at the Patterson mansion, Greg went straight to his room. He threw his backpack on his bed and was about to change clothes when he noticed his gaming system was on. He was sure he had turned it off that morning. On the screen was the same message. You've made a terrible mistake. Apologize while you still can. Greg stared at it, an uneasy feeling growing in his stomach. He turned off the system and went downstairs to find his father's home office. Howard Patterson was a tall, serious man who rarely had time for his son. When Greg knocked on the open door, his father looked up with surprise. Greg? I'm working. What is it? Greg hesitated. Dad, do you know a girl named Samantha Norris? His father's fingers froze above his keyboard. Why do you ask? She's new at school. I just wondered if you knew her family. Howard stood up slowly. What did you do? The intensity of his father's reaction caught Greg off guard. Nothing. Well, she was sitting at my table and she wouldn't move, so I kinda pushed her. You what? Howard's face paled. Tell me exactly what happened. Leave nothing out. Greg had never seen his father look so concerned. He mumbled through the story, downplaying the slap. But his father wasn't fooled. You hit her? You actually hit Samantha Norris? Howard ran a hand through his hair. Do you have any idea what you've done? Before Greg could answer, the lights in the office flickered. The security panel on the wall beeped and displayed a warning message. System reset in progress. Howard rushed to the panel. This doesn't make sense. The system was upgraded last week. Greg watched as his father frantically tried to override the reset. Then all the lights went out. Emergency lighting came on seconds later, bathing the room in a dim glow. Dad, what's going on? Greg asked, his voice slightly higher than normal. Howard didn't answer. He was staring at a photograph on his desk that Greg had never noticed before. Greg moved closer and saw it was a picture of an older man with a stern face standing next to his father. Both were wearing some kind of uniform. Scrawled across the bottom in black marker were the words, "The apple doesn't fall far from the guy." Tree. Who is that? Greg asked. Howard picked up the photo with shaking hands. That's Chuck Norris. The real Chuck Norris, not the movie star everyone thinks they know. The old martial arts guy from those ancient films. Greg laughed nervously. Why do you have his picture? Howard looked at his son with deadly seriousness. Because he saved my life 20 years ago, and now you've angered his granddaughter. Granddaughter? Greg's mouth went dry. You mean? Samantha Norris isn't just any new student, Howard said quietly. And what you've done is more dangerous than you can possibly imagine. The security system suddenly came back online, beeping, cheerfully as if nothing had happened. Howard's phone rang and he answered it immediately. Yes, I know, he said to the caller. He told me what happened. Yes, I'll explain everything to him. We'll make it right. He hung up and turned to Greg. We need to talk about what really happened in 2035. About why our family has money. And about what Chuck Norris and his family really are. Greg sank into a chair, the realization dawning that the girl he had hit was somehow connected to something much bigger than high school politics. Dad, who was that on the phone? Howard looked out the window, his expression grim. That was Westfield High's new janitor. He started today. His name is Carlos Norris, Sam's father. Greg stared at his father in disbelief. The janitor is her dad? And he called you? How does he even have your number? Howard Patterson locked his office door and lowered the blinds. There's a lot you don't know, son. Things I've kept from you, to protect you. But now you need to understand what we're dealing with. He walked to a bookshelf and pressed his thumb against a hidden scanner. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a small room filled with strange equipment. Greg had lived in this house his entire life and never knew this room existed. What is all this? Greg asked, stepping into the hidden space. Howard pulled out an old metal box and set it on a table. Evidence of what really happened when humanity made first contact. He opened the box and removed a strange metallic device that looked like a cross between a watch and a small tablet. This is Arcturian technology, their gift to us after the treaty was signed. Greg looked at the device with wide eyes. Treaty? Dad, what are you talking about? There are no aliens. That's what we told the public, Howard said, activating the device. A hologram appeared above it showing a massive ship hovering over what looked like a desert. This footage was taken in 2035 in a remote area of New Mexico. I was there as a technical assistant. Greg watched as the hologram zoomed in on a group of people standing before the ship. He recognized his father, much younger, standing behind, a man who looked like an older version of the person in the photograph. Is that really Chuck Norris, the martial arts guy from old movies? Greg asked. Howard nodded. By then, he was already in his 90s, but he didn't look a day over 60. The government's enhancement program was more successful than anyone expected. Enhancement program? In the 1980s, when tensions with Russia were high, the military secretly enhanced a small group of individuals. Chuck was one of them. Increased strength, speed, healing, and longevity. The program was shut down, but those who were enhanced lived on. Howard looked at his son. The internet jokes about Chuck Norris weren't just jokes. They were based on rumors that leaked out over the years. The hologram showed the ship opening and tall, slender figures emerging. They had human-like features but were clearly not human. The Arcturians came looking for worthy allies. Howard continued. They had been monitoring our broadcasts for decades. They were especially interested in our martial arts and warrior culture. When they arrived, they demanded to see our best fighter. Greg watched as the hologram showed Chuck Norris stepping forward. So they sent a 90-year-old man to fight aliens? They sent the best we had, Howard said simply. What followed was the most incredible display of combat skills I've ever witnessed. The hologram showed Chuck facing 6 Arcturian warriors in what appeared to be a ceremonial circle. What happened next made Greg gasp. The old man moved with impossible speed, his techniques perfect as he systematically defeated each alien fighter without seriously injuring them. This single combat demonstration established Earth's standing in the galactic community, Howard explained. The Arcturians value physical prowess and honorable combat above all else. Chuck Norris became their favorite human. Greg watched the hologram end with Chuck shaking hands with the alien leader. What does this have to do with Samantha? Howard shut off the device. After first contact, Chuck became Earth's primary negotiator with the Arcturians. He was given permission to bring his family into the program. His son Carlos was enhanced, and Carlos's daughter Samantha was born with these enhancements and has been training since she could walk. Greg sat down, feeling suddenly sick. So the girl I hit is not just Chuck Norris's granddaughter. She's an enhanced human who has spent the last 5 years training with Arcturian masters on the Mars colony. Howard's face was grim. And you struck her in front of witnesses. That's why the security system went down? Her dad was sending a message? Howard nodded. Carlos could have done much worse. They're giving you a chance to make things right. Greg suddenly remembered Peter's warning in the cafeteria. He should have listened. Meanwhile, across town, Sam sat in Olivia's kitchen, holding an ice pack against her face. The bruise didn't hurt much, but it helped maintain her cover as a normal girl. Your house is nice, Sam said. Looking around the cozy kitchen, Olivia's mother, a friendly woman named Karen, placed 2 glasses of lemonade on the table. "Thank you, Sam. We like it." She frowned at Sam's bruise. "Are you sure I shouldn't call your parents about what happened?" "No, thank you," Sam said quickly. "My dad will be home soon. I'll tell him then." Karen seemed unsatisfied but nodded. "Well, you're welcome here any time. Any friend of Olivia's is welcome in our home." When Karen left the room, Olivia leaned forward. "So what are you going to do about Greg?" "Nothing," Sam said. "He's not worth the trouble." Olivia looked disappointed. "If someone hit me, my parents would be at the school demanding justice." Sam sipped her lemonade. "Justice comes in many forms." She checked her watch. "I should go. My dad will worry." "I'll walk you home," Olivia offered. "It's only a few blocks." As they walked, Olivia continued her theories about aliens and cover-ups. Sam listened politely, neither confirming nor denying anything. When they reached the apartment building, Sam thanked Olivia for the company. "See you tomorrow," Olivia said. "And Sam, I think you're really cool for not freaking out about what happened." Sam smiled. "Thanks. See you tomorrow." Once inside the apartment, Sam dropped her backpack and headed straight to the back room. It looked like a normal bedroom from the doorway, but when Sam pressed her hand against the wall panel, the room transformed. Workout equipment slid out from hidden compartments. One wall became a screen showing data from around the world. Carlos. Norris stepped out from another room, his janitor uniform replaced by a fitted black training suit. "How was your first day?" "Educational," Sam replied. "Someone knows about us. A girl named Olivia mentioned the Arcturus Coalition and First Contact." Carlos frowned. "Just internet rumors. Nothing concrete." "Maybe," Sam said. "But she specifically mentioned Grandpa in 2035. Carlos made a note on his tablet. "I'll look into it." He studied his daughter's face. "The Patterson boy struck you." It wasn't a question. Sam nodded. "You visited his father?" "I did. Howard remembers his debt to our family. He'll make sure his son understands the situation." Sam walked to the training area and began her daily exercises. "I don't need special treatment, Dad. I can handle one school bully." "This isn't about your ability to handle him," Carlos said, watching his daughter move through complex fighting forms with perfect precision. "It's about maintaining our cover. A normal girl would report being hit. Your grandfather wants us to blend in." Sam executed a spinning kick that would have been impossible for an ordinary human. "Then let me handle it my way. No interference." Carlos considered this, then nodded. "Very well, but remember your training. Power requires restraint." "I know," Sam said, continuing her exercises. "I won't hurt him. Much." On her final move, Sam punched a reinforced training dummy. It shattered into pieces, spraying fragments across the room. She looked at the destruction with mild surprise. "Still adjusting to Earth's gravity," she said with a small smile. Carlos shook his head. "Just like your grandfather." The next morning, Sam arrived at school early. She wore her hair differently, trying to hide the bruise on her face. As she walked through the hallway, she noticed students looking at their phones and then at her. Some whispered to each other. Others quickly looked away when she glanced in their direction. At her locker, Olivia appeared, looking excited. "Sam, have you seen it?" "Seen what?" Sam asked. Olivia held up her phone. "Someone posted a video of you from yesterday after school. You stopped to help Mrs. Bell with her groceries, remember?" Sam frowned. "Yes, her bag broke in the parking lot. I helped her pick up her things." "Well, watch this," Olivia said, pressing play on the video. Sam watched herself on the small screen. In the video, she was helping the elderly teacher gather spilled items. When she picked up Mrs. Bell's car keys, which had fallen under the vehicle, the video showed Sam casually lifting the front end of the car with one hand to retrieve the keys. Sam's stomach tightened. She had been careless. On Mars, with its lower gravity, lifting the equivalent weight would have been normal. She'd forgotten how strong she was on Earth. "Everyone's talking about it," Olivia continued. "Some people are saying it's fake, but others." She lowered her voice. Others are saying you're not normal, that you're something else. It's a trick video, Sam said quickly. Camera angles make it look like I'm lifting the car, but I'm not. Someone edited it to make me look stronger than I am. Olivia didn't look convinced. If you say so, but it's gone viral in the school. Greg's friends are freaking out. Sam closed her locker. Let them, I need to get to class. Across the school, Greg sat alone in the library, reading articles on his tablet. After his father's revelations the night before, he had spent hours researching the Norris family and the rumors of alien contact. Most sites dismissed the stories as conspiracy theories, but a few contained details that matched what his father had told him. Greg's friends had been texting him all morning about the car lifting video, but he hadn't responded. He felt sick, thinking about what he had done. Not just hitting a girl, which was bad enough, but hitting someone who could probably break him in half without trying. Peter found him in the library. Dude, where have you been? Did you see the video? That new girl is some kind of freak. Greg glared at his friend. Don't call her that. Peter looked surprised. What's with you? Yesterday you hit her, and today you're defending her? I made a mistake, Greg said quietly. My dad knows her family. They're important people. Important how? Like government important? Greg hesitated. Something like that. Look, I need to apologize to her. Peter laughed. Apologize? Since when do you apologize to anyone? Since now, Greg snapped. This is serious. My dad says I need to make things right. Peter's smile faded. Your dad never cares what you do at school. What's really going on? Greg gathered his things. I can't explain. Just stay away from Samantha Norris, okay? Tell Liam too. Don't mess with her. As Greg left the library, the video played on screens all around the school. Students pointed and whispered as Sam walked past. By lunchtime, the social dynamics had shifted dramatically. People avoided sitting near Greg, fearing they might become targets if Sam decided to seek revenge. Greg looked around the cafeteria, trying to spot Sam. She sat alone at a corner table, the same one from yesterday. Taking a deep breath, Greg walked toward her. As he approached, a hush fell over the nearby tables. Students watched with wide eyes, phones ready to record whatever happened next. Sam looked up as Greg stopped in front of her table. Her expression revealed nothing. Can I sit? Greg asked, his voice unusually quiet. Sam gestured to the empty chair across from her. Greg sat down, very aware of the dozens of eyes watching them. I'm sorry, he said. For hitting you yesterday. It was wrong. Sam studied him for a moment. Did your father tell you to apologize? Greg nodded. Yes, but I would have anyway. Eventually. He paused. He told me about your family, about your grandfather and other things. Sam's eyes narrowed slightly. My grandfather is just an old martial arts instructor. Right. Of course, Greg said quickly, understanding the need for secrecy. Still, I shouldn't have done what I did. I'm sorry. Sam took a sip of her water. Apology accepted. Greg relaxed slightly, but before he could say anything else, Liam rushed up to their table. Greg! You need to see this, Liam said, shoving his phone in Greg's face. They're saying she's some kind of government experiment. Look at these forums. Greg pushed the phone away. Stop it, Liam. That's all garbage. Liam looked between Greg and Sam with confusion. What's going on? Yesterday you hit her and today you're having lunch together? I'm apologizing, Greg said firmly. Now go away. Liam didn't move. No way. Something weird is happening. He turned to Sam. What did you do to him? How did you lift that car? Sam remained calm. I didn't lift any car. The video is fake. Prove it, Liam challenged. If you're so normal, meet us at Jefferson Quarry after school. Show everyone you're just a regular girl. She doesn't have to prove anything, Greg said, standing up. Leave her alone. Liam took a step back, surprised by Greg's reaction. What's wrong with you, man? Since when do you care about the new girl? Since I found out some things you don't know, Greg replied. Trust me, Liam. You don't want to mess with her. Liam's face hardened. Sounds like she's got you scared. The Greg Patterson I know wouldn't back down like this. Maybe I'm not that Greg Patterson anymore, Greg said. Liam turned to Sam again. Jefferson Quarry after school, or everyone will know you're hiding something. After Liam walked away, Greg sat back down. You don't have to go. I know, Sam said, but now I will. Why? You don't have to prove anything to them. Sam looked at Greg with calm determination. This isn't about proving I'm normal. It's about ending this situation once and for all. Greg lowered his voice. They think it's just you. They don't know about your dad working here as a janitor. Sam smiled slightly. I know, and it's going to stay that way. After school, word had spread about the meeting at Jefferson Quarry. Students gathered in small groups, whispering excitedly about what might happen. Some believed Sam would show up and prove the video was fake. Others thought she might reveal her true strength. A few wondered if it was all an elaborate prank. Greg found Peter by the school buses. Don't go to the quarry. Peter frowned. Why not? Liam says it's going to be epic. It's going to be trouble, Greg warned. Liam's taking some guys from the wrestling team. He thinks they can scare her into showing what she can do. And you don't want that? Greg shook his head. You have no idea what you'd be getting into. As students headed toward Jefferson Quarry, Sam walked alone, her face set with determination. Whatever happened at the quarry would change everything. She touched the communicator hidden in her jacket pocket, wondering if she should call her father. No, she decided. She would handle this herself, just as her grandfather would have done. Jefferson Quarry sat at the edge of town, an abandoned mining site with steep rock walls and a flat central area. By the time Sam arrived, nearly 30 students had gathered. Some sat on large rocks while others stood in small groups, all watching, as she walked calmly into the center of the open space. Liam stood with 5 boys from the wrestling team. They wore their team jackets and had arranged themselves in a half circle, trying to look intimidating. Olivia rushed over to Sam, concern on her face. You shouldn't have come, Olivia whispered. Liam has been telling everyone you're some kind of superhuman. He wants to prove it. It's fine, Sam said. Thanks for worrying. Greg appeared from behind a large boulder, looking tense. Sam, this is stupid. Let's just leave. Liam stepped forward. Too late for that, Patterson. Your new friend has some explaining to do. He turned to the crowd. Everyone saw the video. She lifted a car with one hand. The video was faked, Sam said calmly. Camera tricks, nothing special. Liam smiled. Prove it. We brought some tests. He nodded to one of the wrestlers who pulled out a bent metal bar from his backpack. This is from the gym. None of us could bend it back. If you're just a normal girl, you won't be able to either. The crowd murmured with excitement. Sam looked at the metal bar without expression. I'm not here to perform tricks, she said. See? She's afraid to show us what she can do. Liam pointed at her accusingly. I bet she works for some secret government program. Or maybe she's not even human. Sam sighed. This was getting out of hand. She had hoped to diffuse the situation quietly, but Liam seemed determined to expose her. She needed to end this without revealing her true abilities. Fine. One test, she said. Then everyone goes home. She held out her hand for the metal bar. The wrestler hesitated, then gave it to her. Sam took it and examined it carefully. The bar was indeed bent at nearly a 90-degree angle. She could easily straighten it, but that would only confirm their suspicions. Instead, she gripped it firmly and made a show of struggling, her face turning red with apparent effort. The bar bent slightly, but not much. After a moment, she handed it back. See? Just a normal girl. I can't bend it either. Liam looked disappointed, but then smiled again. That was just the first test. Boys, bring out the next one. 2 of the wrestlers dragged a large wooden crate from behind some rocks. They opened it to reveal various objects, weights, chains, and a sledgehammer. That's enough, Greg said, stepping between Sam and Liam. This is stupid. She showed you she can't bend the bar. Let it go. Liam shoved Greg aside. Since when do you protect people, Patterson? You're the one who hit her yesterday. And I apologized, Greg said firmly. This ends now. Liam laughed. Not yet. She hasn't shown us what she can really do. He grabbed the sledgehammer from the crate. My dad works construction. This thing weighs 15 pounds. No normal girl could swing it with one hand. Before anyone could stop him, Liam thrust the sledgehammer at Sam. She caught it reflexively with one hand, barely moving as the heavy tool landed in her palm. The crowd gasped. Sam realized her mistake immediately. A normal person would have stumbled or dropped it. She had caught it too easily. Liam pointed triumphantly. See? No normal person could catch this like that. Sam slowly lowered the hammer to the ground. I got lucky. Lucky? No way. Liam's expression turned darker. Show us what you really are. Greg stepped forward again. That's enough, Liam. Stay out of this, traitor. Liam nodded to his friends. Surround her. Don't let her leave until she shows us the truth. The wrestlers moved to form a circle around Sam. She stood calmly assessing the situation. She could easily defeat all of them, but that would expose everything. She needed another way. Last chance, Sam said quietly. Walk away now. Liam sneered. Or what? You'll lift a car and throw it at us? No, came a deep voice from behind the crowd. But I might. Everyone turned to see a tall, broad-shouldered man in a janitor's uniform walking toward them. Carlos Norris moved with the easy grace of someone completely in control of his body. The students parted to let him through. Dad, Sam said, her voice conveying a mix of relief and worry. Carlos stopped beside his daughter. School's been over for an hour. Time to go home. Liam looked between Sam and Carlos with confusion. You're the new janitor? What are you doing here? Picking up my daughter, Carlos said simply. And suggesting that all of you head home before your parents start to worry. There was something in his voice that made several students immediately grab their backpacks. Liam, however, stood his ground. She's not normal, he insisted. I saw her catch that hammer like it was nothing. Carlos raised an eyebrow. My daughter grew up helping me with maintenance work. She's used to handling tools. He looked around the quarry. This is private property. You're all trespassing. More students began to leave. Liam's friends looked uncertain, no longer eager to continue the confrontation. This isn't over, Liam said, backing away. People have a right to know if there's something weird going on. The only weird thing, Carlos replied calmly, is a group of teenagers harassing a new student. That stops today. Something in his tone made even Liam reconsider. One by one, the wrestlers backed away, then turned and left. Soon, only Greg, Olivia, Sam, and Carlos remained at the quarry. You okay? Carlos asked his daughter. Sam nodded. Fine. I could have handled it. I know, Carlos said with a small smile. But sometimes even the strongest people need backup. Olivia looked between them with wide eyes. So, is it true? Are you like super strong or something? Sam exchanged a look with her father, who gave a slight nod. Let's just say my family has some unusual talents, Sam admitted. But we're still human, just different. Greg stepped forward. Your secret is safe with me. With us, he added, looking at Olivia. Olivia nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely, this is so cool. I knew those conspiracy forums were onto something, Carlos chuckled. Maybe not everything they say is accurate. He turned to Greg. Your father, and I had a good talk yesterday. He speaks highly of you despite recent events. Greg looked down, embarrassed. I'm trying to be better. That's all any of us can do, Carlos said. Now who wants a ride home? As they walked back toward the parking lot, Sam fell into step beside Greg. Why did you try to stop Liam? She asked. You knew I could handle myself. Greg was quiet for a moment. Because it was the right thing to do, and because I owed you that much after yesterday. Sam smiled. Maybe there's hope for you after all, Patterson. In the distance, unseen by the humans below, a sleek silver craft hovered silently. Inside, Tall figures watched the interaction with interest. The Norris bloodline continues to impress, one figure said in a language no human could understand. Their offspring show both strength and wisdom. Indeed, replied another. Perhaps Earth is finally ready for the next phase of integration. The craft disappeared into the clouds, leaving no trace of its presence except a slight shimmer in the air where it had been. Back on Earth, Sam looked up at the sky, sensing something. For a brief moment, she thought she saw a familiar glint of metal, but it was gone before she could be sure. Everything okay? Her father asked. Sam nodded. Yes. I think everything is going to be just fine.